The shocking baby-killing crimes of the devil's own nurse from hell, Lucy Letby, have reignited the long-suppressed debate over the death penalty. As has been the case for many years, the majority of Brits want the ultimate punishment for murderers, an eye for an eye. You take someone else's life, the state will do the same to you. And when you think of the evil Ms Letby injecting poor little tots fresh out of their mother's wombs with air bubbles and insulin, causing them to scream in agony while their brief, innocent existences were being brutally terminated, is it really that bad to conclude that she deserves a lethal injection herself? Well, according to our self-appointed superiors in Parliament, yes it is. The more the public call for the return of executions for the worst offences, the more the MPs we elect to allegedly represent us refuse to even contemplate such a thing. The boys and girls in the Westminster bubble seem to have taken it upon themselves to protect us, the people, from our base plebeian instincts. Bringing back the death penalty has barely been seriously debated in the Commons for decades, and still the body politics stick their fingers in their ears and decline to listen. Worse, they appear to believe it's their job to make sure the awful masses don't get what they want, that they somehow know better than us because we're just the baying mob and they're the sophisticated elites who must save us from our uncivilised opinions. In other words, barring a few honourable exceptions, our MPs are not representing us. They are contemptuously, completely ignoring us. Think of the vicious terrorists who plant bombs that maim and slaughter. Think of the monsters who rape women and then, almost as an afterthought, kill them. And tell me these semi-humans are worth keeping alive at great expense to hard-working taxpayers. Think of sinister angel of death, Lucy Letby, not only sticking her extermination needles into tiny children, but also punching them. I still can't get over that. And tell me this satanic woman truly deserves to live out the rest of her days in a cushy pink prison with its own fashion shop. Tell me it's worth shelling out £45,000 a year so that Lucifer's answer to healthcare can enjoy her less than arduous incarceration. Or, if you break it down, more than 800 quid a week. In case you're in any doubt, a poll just last week revealed that an overwhelming 63% of us want the death penalty for child killers. 59% want executions for terrorists, serial killers and multiple rapists, and 54% want them for cop killers. The last death sentences in Britain unfolded on August the 13th, 1964, when murderers Gwyn Evans and Peter Allen were led to the gallows at separate jails in Manchester and Liverpool. No one is calling for public hangings or the grim spectacle of bloodthirsty crowds cheering while the killers swing. And no one wants to rush to judgment on the one punishment that cannot be reversed. But surely, in the wake of the chilling Letby horror, it's time for politicians to stop silencing a debate that the majority of Brits demand and, in the name of democracy, surely deserve. Should the UK bring back the death penalty? Is that for the great British public to decide, or MPs? You decide. Yeah. And I think it's really weird now that since about the 1970s, MPs, the body politic, the people in the Westminster bubble have sought to protect us from our base instincts. Yeah. You know, they won't even allow the debate. And now we have to have one, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, when we found out about Letby and she was sentenced, I said the death penalty is what she needs. Yeah. I'd have her in solitary confinement for 10 years so that she has a really bad 10 years. Maybe goes a bit crazy. Yeah, tortures herself mentally, and then we kill her after that.
You don't want to torture her as well? Yeah, you know, sort of red hot brands and that kind of thing.
I wouldn't mind that kind of thing. She deserves that too.
I mean, I know where you're coming
from. The thing is, I think you're right in the sense that we should have more of a conversation, because the reason why we haven't been talking about the death penalty or even considering it is because of the influence of the Church of England. And there's the same sort of similar forces that have effectively silenced conversations around euthanasia. I'm against the death penalty because I think, you know, in places that has it, it actually ends up being more expensive than keeping the person in prison. I think there is a good argument that we should reduce how much we spend on prisoners. They live in too much luxury luxury.
Why does it cost more?
It doesn't. If you put the Moors.
Because they have trials and appeals, because the legal process to actually get to the
Wait
point
a second. Wait a second. The Moors murderers, Hindley and Brady, were in jail since the mid-60s and lived to only a few years ago at the cost of about 50,000. They're more than normal prisoners, probably 60,000 pounds a year. That's millions.
Because the thing is, if you look at the logistics of the death penalty, you have to decide how you're going to kill them. The lethal injection, for instance, the pharmaceutical company that sells it in the US, they've stopped selling it to American states.
Yeah, we're making it too much of a task, mate. Just kill them.
Well, you can't because they're loopholes.
We'll send them abroad. We'll farm it out. We'll farm it out. Let someone do it for us.
We'll kill them, or even worse, send them abroad.
Yes.
But the thing is, I do think we should have a conversation about it, because I think the fact that it's been silenced for so long, people feel like there's an agenda going on.
The only conversation we need to have is a conversation to say, yes, let's bring it back.
Well,
in these kind of cases where it's lock, stock and barrel.
Well, she's going to appeal.
She's going to appeal, find out appeal, but she's going to lose. She definitely
She would lose.
babies.
She would
Yeah,
lose.
How do you know?
That's the point. You have to be careful with a lot of cases because there may be a small element of doubt. Now, with someone like Letby or the Moors murderers or the Yorkshire Ripper, you know, about whom there was not a scintilla of doubt, you know, send them to the gallows or whatever. And it cannot possibly be more expensive than keeping them in jail for 50 years.
Exactly.
You know what the Japanese do? Because the Japanese...
I don't think we're taking any lessons from them.
No, because
we do.
The Americans set an execution date, and then if you keep appealing, it gets pushed back. The Japanese don't set a date, so you can one day just find out that you're dying today, and then they just do it. Yeah, it's very what do you mean wonderful? It's very controversial.
I like the Japanese.
JJ,
they're getting business done, mate.
Oh my God.
They make great cars and they're good at killing people.
But they argue that that's a form of psychological torture because you don't actually know when you're going to die.
And you get one appeal. You know, that's it. You know,
they don't get
in
that
America,
many.
you only get one appeal, but they come up with other reasons to possibly continue the legal process. But the point is, I don't think it's uncivilized to demand an eye for an eye with people like Lucy Letby or the Yorkshire Ripper, multiple rapists. I don't think that's uncivilized, and I don't think it is the position of people in the Westminster bubble to look down on us as kind of unruly masses who have awful instincts. How dare they? How dare they? It's time they gave us a debate, and it's time we won it, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, with rapists, I think I'd go for castration rather than the death penalty.
You've thought about this a lot.
100%. If you're a rapist, you can't be rehabilitated. Just get castrated, serve some time in prison, and back on the street. Then if you do some kind of other sexual offence, then we think about death penalty. But for murderers, 100%.
Somebody's just said in my ear, I thought he was a devout Christian.
I thought so too.
The point is Christians, you know, they're kind of dangerous on this issue. They're the ones who invented eye for an eye.
Exactly.
Unless I missed my guess, that was in the Bible, wasn't it? It's your guidebook that's causing all these problems. But seriously.
Eye for an eye is the code of Hammurabi, isn't it?
Well, no, it's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible. It's a quote that Jesus said, but it's from the code of Hammurabi because Jesus was saying you don't.
Well, they quoted him. Maybe you know he's probably swirling in his grave, you know, saying I was misquoted. Can't trust those Hammurabi journalists, you know. What was it, Kurt? What's the code?
Code of Hammurabi.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that. Not in a month of Sundays. No, it was Jesus, you know. He came up with a lot of good quotes. His dad was even better.
Yeah. How much do you love your neighbour?
Yeah, you know that debate about, you know, God could have been, why is God was depicted as a man? He could have been a woman. It's rubbish. I've seen the pictures. He's got a beard and everything.
He could be one of those new women, you know, the women with penises. Listen.
Right. I think it's time to call a close to that debate, but an interesting one it was. Thank you to both of you. Time for a bad ad.
You're in the big leagues when you make a perfect slide. You're in the big leagues when you keep the team alive. You're in the big leagues when you block a shot or two. You're in the big leagues when you're in the big league chew.
Big League Chew, man-sized wads of great tasting shredded bubble gum stuffed into a giant Stay Fresh pouch. For Big League flavor and Big League bubbles, it's Big League Chew.
You're in the big leagues when you're in the big league chew.
Well, that was for the big chew.
jaw would
Looks
snap.
delicious, doesn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, your jaw would lock and snap or something. That's ridiculous.
I'll tell you who would like that. It was Alex Ferguson. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He used to put bar after bar of Wrigley's in his mouth, and you think, he can't get any more in, but he could. He could. Did you ever indulge in bubblegum?
No,
absolutely.
not really.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid,
As a kid, and you go to places like France, or you've been to were you in Spain?
No, I was in
Greece?
Corfu.
Well, them kind of places, you have the really cheap chewing gum. After one chew, the flavour's completely
Yeah,
gone.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like chalk. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
When you're a kid and you put some chewing gum in your mouth and then somebody gives you some peanuts and says, oh, yeah, I'll have some of those. And it turns into this disgusting mush.
Crunchy chew.
But it's a big chew from me from now on. Now it is time for my fan mail. There's been a lot of it stacking up over the weeks while I've been away. Mean tweets. This is tweet 1. Great to see Kevin O'Sullivan is back with his usual plethora of disinformation, propaganda and lies. Why is this allowed to spout such perverted views from his dirty mind? Well, tweet oneer, it's because it's a free country. I can say what I like and you can go and
That is so mean.
Dirty mind.
I know.
That's nothing, is it? That's quite nice.
That's a good one.
By my standards, yeah. I get like mountains of it. Everybody hates me. It's my special appeal.
What do you do to them?
I just exist. Say what I like, and they don't like it. They're all lefties, you know what I mean. Let's move on to tweet 2. Please could you ask Kevin O'Sullivan to stop touching his mouth when he is on TV? It is deeply unprofessional. He should be more like, I can't read that word. What did it say?
Crisco.
Crisco.
Yeah, Crisco. You know the
Cristo?
The
Cristo?
they used to fry chicken.
Costco.
Yeah.
You should be more like Costco.
Cristo. Okay. I should be more like Cristo. I don't think so. And you can't see him touching his mouth because his fingers get lost in his massive beard. Right, here's tweet 3.
You're going to get in trouble for that one.
I've missed doing this show. The best show ever made. This is tweet 3, by the way. A hat trick of horror for me. Glad to see Kevin O'Sullivan has been fired. Looks like Bill Gates got him. Stop going on about Bill Gates. Looks like Bill Gates got him in the end. You were warned, baby boomer. Don't laugh at children. Why can't I laugh at just that children? You can laugh at children. I laugh at children all the time. You idiot.
So I guess they think you were
Now I see
fired.
why.
They think you were fired because I sat in your seat for 2 weeks.
Yeah. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
JJ laughs at children as well.
Yeah, well, everybody laughs at
course.
children.
Yeah. Push him over.
This idiot thinks you
I know.
don't laugh at children. His initial tweet was, he's so evil, he laughs at children.
Yeah.
What? You know, I laugh at dogs, doesn't make me evil. I laugh at children. I'm going to carry on laughing at children, and you can stick that word, the sun don't shine. All right, what are we doing
Welcome
now?
back, Kevin.
Time for a break. Welcome back to What Just Happened. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'm still joined by Esther Krakow and, sadly, JJ Anasiobi too. Let's kick off with another party political broadcast, and today's clip comes from Republican Senator John Kennedy. Is this right?
Violent crime is surging in Louisiana. Woke leaders blame the police. I blame the criminals. A mom should not have to look over her shoulder when she's pumping gas. I voted against the early release of violent criminals, and I opposed defunding the police. Look, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead. I'm John Kennedy, and I approve this message.
I guess the Kennedy Camelot dynasty isn't what it used to be. Is he from America by any chance?
Where are his teeth?
Yeah?
Where are his teeth?
Somewhere in the back of his throat. They're lodged in what's left of his brain.
Don't call the cops, call a crackhead.
That is quite a good line, though.
I mean, that's funny.
Next time you're in trouble, try calling a crackhead. Well, they should come over here because a lot of our cops are crackheads. And you get 2 for the price of 1. Did you see that one the other week?
Yes.
It turns out going home smoking crack and then going back on duty. God almighty.
History.
Let's talk about the police. Yet again, we have to, because yet again, their ongoing failure to do their job is a bewildering cause for serious concern. We, the alarmed public, scratch our heads while the cops think it's headline news that they pledge to investigate crimes. On the off chance they have any leads to pursue, of course. Isn't that special? And we, the long-suffering citizens of this increasingly dysfunctional country, look on in bemused dismay as Home Secretary Suella Braverman humbly requests of Chief Constables that they at least try to solve all thefts. Since when was this a story? Since when was it considered newsworthy that the police vow to do their job? Isn't this a bit like the fire brigade solemnly pledging to put out fires and expecting ecstatic rounds of applause? Since when did the Rozzers believe that they had the right to decide what crimes are worth them looking into and what crimes are beneath them? But here's the thing, some crimes are guaranteed to receive the most devoted attention from our oh-so-woke officers of the law. I'm talking about hate crimes and the cops who, instead of patrolling the streets, patrol the tweets, looking for hurty words and nasty opinions. Only last week, footage emerged of a visit by two cops in Wales to the home of a guy who stood accused of posting offensive comments on social media. Frankly, who cares? Haven't these PCs got anything better to do? But it gets worse. What these officers wanted to do was to talk to the bloke about his allegedly illegal opinions, to not necessarily arrest or prosecute him, but to educate him about the error of his unwoke worldview. Since when was it the police's job to tell us what we can and cannot think? Why do senior cops countenance this North Korean-style nonsense and the constant monitoring of Twitter and Facebook that is clearly a complete waste of time? Why did the Merseyside Constabulary send out a mobile promotional van emblazoned with the inspiring message, "Being offensive is an offence," only to learn late in life that being offensive is not an offence, and as a result having to issue a grovelling apology. But after the Merseyside Plod's asinine so-called hate crime awareness campaign crashed and burned on a bonfire of their own worrying ignorance of the law, and the government ordered forces everywhere to cease this pathetic virtue signalling, is it on the decline? Is it hell? Ask the poor 16-year-old autistic girl who only recently was dragged screaming from her home by 7 cops after observing that one of them looked like her lesbian grandmother. The confused kid was handed a homophobic public order offence, whatever that is. The caring, sharing, thoroughly modern police love to call themselves a service. Is this the sort of service you want from them? Wokery on a plate with a side of handcuffs? Or would you prefer that they ditched their obsession with hate crimes in favour of investigating real crimes like car thefts, burglaries, violent attacks? Call me controversial, but that seems like a no-brainer. No one needs Dixon of woke green. Now come on, you coppers, forget your rainbow flags, stop worrying about other people's thoughts and start getting back to good old-fashioned police work, like now. They should, shouldn't they, right now?
Yeah, they should. I mean, it's clearly a waste of police resources for them to go to someone's house and ask them why they posted a mean thing on Twitter, especially when they'd actually
bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange, especially when the rate at which they solve burglaries and stuff like that is basically at a record low. But I do find it ironic that Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman are walking around with police that clearly like very curated PR photo shoot of them like talking to police and we want to figure out this out. You need to, if you're not going to increase the resources the police has available or change the culture of policing, there really is no point for you to tell them actually solve, crimes like this. Tell them, get rid of your social media defense force, put those resources to actually solving crimes, and then punto. But if you're not going to say that, then why are you walking around with them wagging your finger at them?
Genuinely, I'd rather call a crackhead than call the police.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because they come with a bat.
But listen,
they tend to be more friendly.
Yeah, they're more friendly.
And they don't care what you tweet.
How do you know?
Yeah, come on, crackheads everywhere. Join the police force. Stop all this nonsense.
Look, if you get a crackhead and you say, "I'll give you some crack," if you find who stole my car, they will find who stole your car for you. They will get the job done.
This is just a joke, folks. This is not a kind of our blueprint for the future. But it's true. You're right.
It's mental. But I think our police force and the Home Office are suffering from schizophrenia. So on one hand, Cruella Braverman is saying, we've got to do policing. Yeah, do your job, basic.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they're saying, if you steal from a shop and it's less than 500 quid, we're not going to come and investigate it. It can't be both things.
You've effectively legalised theft.
The other thing I'd say about this, only this week we heard about this latest play. A couple of months ago, they said, we're going to investigate all burglaries. Oh, wow, amazing. Going to do your job. Today, the other day, they announced, we're going to, we've been told by the Home Secretary we've got to investigate all thefts, so we will. You know, as I say, this is like the fire brigade saying, we've decided to put out fires.
Yes!
I mean, Tesco's, we've had a kind of epiphany. We're going to sell food. I mean,
That's reassuring. Yeah.
it's ridiculous,
It's
isn't
nuts.
it?
It's absolutely nuts. But if the police are looking out for people who are doing mean tweets, Kevin, you've got a whole stash of those.
Yeah.
Start filing your claims.
The point is that, I've had death threats and all that, quite often. I just laugh about it. It does not need police involvement. It is ridiculous. And the police are just generally out of control. You've got this bloke, Mark Rowley, Sir Mark Rowley. Why are they all sirs and dames? They're just coppers. Anyway, he's the head of the Met Police. I've got the broom, I'm going to clean it all up, and the new broom. Yeah, he's not really new broom, he's about 86. And he's not cleaning it up at all. It's an absolute catastrophe.
We are. I said it before and I'll say it again. We need to break up the police, not have no police ever.
Yeah.
We definitely need to have a police force. But we've got to break it down and rebuild it under my vision with crack.
That is reassuring. Absolutely.
JJ Anasiobi bringing a whole new meaning to the term crack coppers. Crack cop.
Bobby's on the beat. Crack.
Right, it's time for another bad ad. I think this is one I found myself. You won't believe it.
Who made this tea?
Charlie did, Mr. Bennett. I made it special.
You passed your MOT, Charlie.
Me MOT.
Made horrible tea, lad. Try PG Tips.
Only these tea bags have the famous PG Tips taste. No other. PG Tips tea bags for the tea you can really taste.
I said, I felt to run out of oil.
Bit of random racism at the end there.
How did you find that?
Well, I'm diligent, I look for important landmarks in media history, and I thought that was one,
That is I forgot they used to have the monkeys in the PG Tip adverts.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're very good. But you're right, the random bit of xenophobia against the Arab monkey.
You're sort of slightly on dodgy ground throughout the whole advert, and then that one comes in dressed as an Arab, and then you think, oh my God, can it get any worse? Yes, it can.
I felt to run out of oil.
Okay, time's up. Thanks to our guest. He was JJ Anasiobi, she was Esther Krakow, I was Kevin O'Sullivan, and this was What Just Happened?
I felt to run out of oil.